We continue now at the top of Daf Chaf Beizam and Beizam Meseches Yevamos. This is Yevamos Daf 22b. The Gemara here continues Mizkak Nami Zakik. Since we know that a son who is a mamzer counts as a son in terms of the halachas of Yivam, so too a brother that is a mamzer counts as a brother in terms of the halachas of Yivam, and it causes a chiyuv of Yivam to that brother. Rashi over here says Mizkak Nami Zakik le'eshes achiv leYivam. In other words, when when his brother dies, that wife of his brother is now going to be obligated to him in Yivam. Shafilo ein kan. Even if there's no brother except for this mamzer, so then they'll have to do chalitza. They obviously won't do yivam because he's a mamzer, but there is going to be a chiv over here, and they're going to have to do chalitza. And the Gemara continues, V'achivu l'chal davar is considered a brother for all halachas of brotherhood. The Gemara says, Lamai hilchasa. So what's an example of this? For what halach are we talking about? So the Gemara says, number one, liyarsho, you can inherit him. He's considered a brother in terms of inheritance. V'litamelo, and also to become tameh to him. As Rashi over here says, V'litamelo im kohenhu. Let's say a person's a kohen, v'lo ach mamzer, and he has a brother that's a mamzer. Now a kohen is not supposed to become tameh mace, but he's allowed to become tameh to his close relatives. So metamelo, so then he can be metameh to this brother, even though the brother is a mamzer, but he's considered a brother. Gemara says, Pshita, isn't that obvious? Achivu, it's his brother. What's the chiddush? The Gemara says, Sal kadai techamina, I might have thought. It says to his she'ero, we say usually means his wife, as Rashi points out, to his wife that is close to him. V'yomar mar, and the master said, she'ero zu ishto, that she'ero refers to his wife, that the Kohen is allowed to become tamei mace. Let's say his wife dies. Uchsiv, and the pasuk also says, Lo yitame bal ba'amov lehechalo. It says that the person should not become tamei, and it means as follows. Yesh bal shemetame, v'yesh bal she'ein metame. There are some husbands, that's what it means, bal over here. There are some husbands that should become tamei, and some that don't. Haketzad, how so? Metame hu le'ishto ksheira. He can become tamei to his wife who is kosher. V'ein metame le'ishto psula, but he doesn't become tamei to his wife who is pasul. In other words, you might have thought that since we do make a distinction by wives between those that are kosher and those that are pasul, so hachanami. So here also I would have thought maybe the same thing. Metame hu la'ach kosher, v'ein metame la'ach pasul. He becomes tamei to his brother who's kosher, but maybe he doesn't become tamei to his brother who's pasul. That's what I might have thought. Kamash malan, that's what the pasuk is telling us over here. That's what the chiddush is over here. The chiddush over here is achiv hu l'chol davar. He's a brother for all things, even for becoming tamei. We don't make a distinction between a brother that's kosher and a brother that's pasul. But the Gemara says, Ve'im hachinami. Why don't we say indeed this is the case? Why don't we make a distinction? Why is it that we make a distinction by a wife, but we don't make a distinction by a brother? And the Gemara answers, Hasam over there, la'afuke kaima. This wife is standing to be divorced, to be taken out. Therefore, it's not really his wife. This is a relationship that was forbidden, and therefore it's considered something that is omeid to be omeid legerish, and it's omeid for separation. But hacha achifu. But over here, it is his brother. Doesn't matter that it's pasul. As Rashi over here says, la'afuke kaima hilkach la'avishtawi. Again, she's standing to be released. She's standing to be separated from him. Therefore, she's not considered his wife. The Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, chutz mi mishi yesh loach min hashivcha u'min ovedet kochavim. Every brother is considered to be a brother, except for somebody who has a brother through a shifcha or through an ovedes kochavim. And the Gemara says, my time, and what's the reason? Amar krutz, because the pasuk says, ha'isha vilodea tia ladonea. It says that when the shifcha gives birth, so the wife, the shifcha it's talking about, and her children belong to the master. Therefore, since that child belongs to the master, is not considered a brother in this regard. Rashi over here says, Ha'isha viladeh b'shifcha ksiv. This is a pasuk by shifcha, and by ovedes kochavim lekamon mefarsh b'shmaitin. What about by the non-Jew who's not a shifcha? Why is that person not considered his brother? That's going to be explained later on. Mechiyaser es bincha me'achorei. It's going to be learned from the pasuk of chiyaser es bincha me'achorei. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Mi sheyesh lo ben mikol makom poter. A person has any kind of son, that's going to pater from doing Yibam. And the Gemara says, Mikol Makam lo suyemai. What is Mikol Makam coming to include? What kind of son are we including over here? Amar Rav Yehuda says, La suye mamzer. It's in order to include a mamzer. Even a son that's a mamzer is considered a son in this regard. My time, what's the reason? Damar Kruk, because the pasuk says, Uven ein lo. It says he doesn't have a son. And we darshan ayin olav. You have to inspect. You have to look into the case and find out if there's any kind of son, then that does count. And Rashi over here explains, Uven ein lo, matzi lemechtav uven ein lo. it could have said uven ein lo without the yud. Kedamrin b'kedushin, this is what we say in kedushin. Ein kasav k'mo me'ein yevami me'ein bilam. There's various examples of this of ein without a yud. Ulhachi kasav ein lemidrash ayin olav. The reason why it puts in the yud is you make this drasha ayin olav, inspect about him. Dim yesh lo ben ba'olam poter. As long as there's some son in the world, so then that's going to pater. And the Gemara continues at the two dots v'chayev al makaso. So this kind of a son, let's say a mamzer, is considered a son, and he's chayev if he strikes his father. So the Gemara says, Amai, why is this the case? Kari Khan, we should call over here what the pasuk says, V'nasi ba'amcha lo sar. It says that a nasi, in your nation you shouldn't curse. And we darshan ba'osei maisa amcha. It has to be somebody who does the deeds of your nation, meaning somebody who acts appropriately. So in this case also, the father obviously did not act appropriately if he had a child that's a mamzer. So maybe it shouldn't be a problem for this son to strike the father, this son to curse the father. Maybe that shouldn't be a problem, because he's not osei maisa amcha. And so the Gemara answers, Kedamar Reb Pinchas Mishmei de Reb Papa. It's like Reb Pinchas said in the name of Reb Papa. In another context, he said Ba'osa Teshuvah. We're talking about a situation where the person did Teshuvah. Hachanami here also Kisha'asa Teshuvah. Here also we're talking where the father did Teshuvah. But the Gemara says V'hai bar Teshuvah. Is it possible to do Teshuvah from having a child that's a mamzer? But we learned in a Mishnah. Shimon ben Menasya says Ezu Me'uvas lo yuchal liskon. What's considered something that is corrupt that can never be fixed? Zahabala erva v'holid mimena mamzer. It's exactly this case. Somebody who has relations with an erva and they have a child that's a mamzer. You can't fix that situation. What kind of teshuvah is there? And the Gemara answers, Hashtamiyos ma'isa amcha. No, but right now he's doing ma'isa amcha. In other words, of course, you can't correct the thing that happened before. But right now the person is acting properly, is behaving properly. He's doing ma'isa amcha, and therefore this prohibition of striking him, cursing him, is going to apply. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught habo alacho. So let's say somebody has relations with his sister. And she's also the daughter of the wife of his father, meaning both are written in the Torah. It says you can't have relations with your sister, and it also says that it's a problem if it's the daughter of the wife of your father. So chayiv misham achos misham baseish asaviv. According to the Tanakama, you have two chiyuvim over here. You're chayiv because it's his sister, and he's also chayiv because it's the daughter of the wife of his father. Rabbi Yossi ben Yehuda says eino chayiv ela misham achoso bilvad. The only chiyuv over here is achoso. There's no additional chiyuv of baseish asaviv. Below mipnei baseish asaviv. And again, it's not a problem of baseish asaviv. And the Gemara now continues, my time, my with the Rabbanon. What's the reason of the Rabbanon, of the Tanakama, that you're chayiv because of both? Amri, they say as follows. Michli, let us see. Ksiv ervas achoscha bas avicha o bas imecha. The pasuk says the erva of your sister, who's the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother, talks about your sister. And the pasuk also says ervas bas eishas avicha moledes avicha achoscha hilamali. So why do we need the second pasuk of ervas bas eishas avicha, that the erva of the daughter of the wife of your father, who is your sister? You already have a pasuk about sister. So Shema Mina comes to teach us to tell you there are two chiyuvim. You're liable because it's his sister, he's liable because it's his sister, and he's liable because it's the daughter of the wife of his father. Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda Amar Kra Achos Chahi. Rabbi Yehuda argues that the pasuk says it says Achos Chahi, it is your sister, and that's an exclusion. Misham Achoso Atam Chayva. What the pasuk is saying is Achos Chahi, she is your sister, meaning you're only chayiv because she is your sister. V'atam Chayva Misham Bas Eishes Aviv. But we're not going to additionally give you a chiyuv of Bas Eishes Aviv. That's why the pasuk says over here Achos Chahi. So the Gemara says, "V'Rabbanan hay achos chahi my avdilei." So the Rabbanan, what do they do with achos chahi? So mi boilu l'chayvu al achos ubasaviv ubas imo. They use that to make up the person chayiv, let's say on a full sister. It's a sister who's both the daughter of his father and the daughter of his mother. In other words, the first pasuk says, "Ervas achoscha bas avicha o bas imecha." The erva of your sister, who's the daughter of your father or the daughter of your mother. Pasuk says achos chahi, to say even a full sister is going to be a problem. Lomar, and that's really to tell you she'ein mazhir min adin, that we don't give warnings based on a kal v'chomer, because really it could have been a kal v'chomer. If you are warned about your half sister, certainly you should be warned about your full sister. But we don't give warnings based on a kal v'chomer. That's exactly what the pasuk is saying. Pasuk had to go out of its way to say achos chahi, even a full sister, to say this rule that ein mazhir min adin. And the Gemara continues. Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda will respond, Im kein lichtov rachman achoscha. If all it wanted to teach was ein mazhir min adin, it could have just said achoscha. He lamali. You still have that extra he. What is that he for? Misham achoscha tam chayvo v'yatam chayvo misham baseish asaviv. That's to tell you what we just said before. You're only chayiv because it's your sister. You're not chayiv because it's the daughter of the wife of your father. V'Rabbanan, the Rabbanan will respond, Afagav dechsiv achoscha. Even though the pasuk says achoscha, it's darich lemichtav he. It still needs to say the word he. Shalo Tomar, because you shouldn't say Bi Alma Mazhirin Min Hadin. You might say the following argument. Really, Mazhirin Min Hadin. Really, normally we could give warnings based on a Kal V'chomer. And if you're going to ask, so why does it say the word Achoscha in the pasuk? Mil Sadasi B'Kal V'chomer Tarach V'Kasav L'Kra. It's something that you could have learned from a Kal V'chomer, and sometimes the pasuk will bother to write something that really you could have learned from a Kal V'chomer. Meaning, if you only had Achoscha, you wouldn't have necessarily derived Ein Mazhirin Min Hadin. You would just say the Torah wrote something which really you could have derived from a Kal V'chomer. So Kasav Rachmana Hi. So that's the real reason why the pasuk writes Hi. Otherwise, the Achoscha alone would not be enough. And the Gemara continues. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda will respond. But if that was the case, then it could have said Achoscha Hi in the other pasuk. It didn't need to say it in this pasuk over here. And Rashi over here explains Be'idach Kra that Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda says if that was the case, so it could have written it in the other pasuk, meaning Gabe Achoscha Ba'asavicha. It could have written by that pasuk which talks about your sister who's your half sister, the daughter of your father, or your sister who's the daughter of your mother. There it should have said the pasuk of Achoscha Hi. Why would it have been better to say it over there? The Lo Huzkar Sham Ishas, because over there we have no mention of a wife. There's no mention of a sister through marriage. The Nafki Onsamine, that's why we learn out that it's even if it's a situation through rape. The Benisuin Ashmin, and the fact that we're writing it over here by the case of marriage, by the case of Ishas, that the fact that we go out of our way to write Achoscha Hi over there, that's what teaches us Afevas Aviv Ubas Imo, that we're saying that by a situation of Nisuin, even by a full sister who's the daughter of his father and the daughter of his mother, from the fact that's written over here, that must be to teach us the Afagav Bas Eishes Aviv, even though she's the daughter of the wife of his father. That's the whole point, that it's again a situation of Nisuin, of a situation of Bas Eishes Aviv, but even though there's possibly an additional prohibition of Bas Eishes Aviv, Lo Mechayev Ela Misham Achoso. He's only Chayev because of Achoso. So in other words, Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda is able to learn out both ideas. He's able to learn out from Achos Lehi that Ein Mazhirin Min Hadin, that we don't warn based on a Kal V'chomer, and from the fact that Achos Lehi is specifically placed by Nisuin, by when we're talking about Ishus, teaches us that you're only Chayev because of sister and not because of Bas Eishes Aviv. The Gemara continues, Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, and according to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, Hai Bas Eishes Avicha Mayavidle, what does he do with Bas Eishes Avicha? In other words, if you're only Chayev one because of sister, and you're not Chayev because of Bas Eishes Avicha, so what's Bas Eishes Avicha coming to teach? The Gemara answers me, Boy le Misha Yesh Lo Ishus Lo Avicha Bo. We're talking about a situation where there was a sister born from the father together with someone where there is Ishus possible, where it's possible to have Nisuin, where it's possible to have marriage. Prat Lachoso Mishivcha V'Ovedes Kochavim. This would exclude a person's sister from a Shivcha, from a maidservant, or from a non-Jew, from an Ovedes Kochavim. She'ein Ishus Lavicha, but there's no real Ishus over there, there's no Kiddushin, there's no marriage, and therefore there'd be no prohibition of Achoso. And the Gemara continues, Ve'ema Prat Lachoso Me'anu. So why are you saying that it excludes a sister through a Shivcha or through an Ovedes Kochavim? Maybe we should say that it excludes a sister Me'anusa, it excludes a sister from rape. And the Gemara says, no, Ahilo Matzas Amr. That you can't even argue. You can't say that we're excluding a sister from rape. Why do we say that? Midu Rava, because that we can prove from Rava. The Rava Rami, because Rava had the following contradiction in Psukim. Ksiv, one pasuk says, Ervas bas bincho bas bitcho lo segale. It says that the erva of the daughter of your son, or the daughter of your daughter, lo segale, that's a problem of Arayas, the daughter of your son, and the daughter of your daughter. And the Gemara continues, Habas bina dida, but if it would be, let's say, the daughter of her son, ubas bita dida, or let's say it's the daughter of her daughter, shari, then it would be permitted. In other words, only the daughter of your son, or the daughter of your daughter. But let's say it's a person's wife's, the daughter of her son, or the daughter of her daughter, it would be permitted. Yet the pasuk says, Ervas isha ubita lo segal. It says you can't uncover the erva of a woman and her daughter, and then it says explicitly, as bas benavi, as bas bita, and also the daughter of her son, and the daughter of her daughter. So there it does include bas bena and bas bita, so it seems to be a contradiction in psukim. Hakeitzad, how so? How do we answer this contradiction? Kan ba'onsin, kan b'nisuin. The answer to the contradiction is, in one case we're talking about a situation of rape, and in one case we're talking about a situation of marriage. And we'll take a look at a few Rashis over here. She'ein ishus lavicha ba, again by a shifcha or by an ovedes kochavim, there is no ishus, there's no marriage between the father and the shifcha or the non-Jew. B'shifcha of ovedes kochavim lo tavsi ba kiddushin. By a shifcha or by a ovedes kochavim, there is no kiddushin. Meseches kiddushin nafkalon mikroi. This is learned out from Psukim in Meseches kiddushin meperko omer lechaver besofo shifcha am hadome lachamor. That they learn out from am hadome lachamor. The ovedes kochavim kenechsev v'achar kein tavo ela ve'alta umei karalo. It says after that and not from before that. Can you have the relations? In any case, that's where the Gemara learns out these ideas that there's no kiddushin by a shifcha and an ovedes kochavim. V'yemo prat la'achoso ma'anusasa. But then the Gemara suggested maybe it's not excluding a sister from a shifcha or ovedes kochavim. Maybe it's excluding a sister from an anusa, from a situation of rape. Shalohaya ishas lavicha. There was no marriage. It was a situation of onsin. And Rashi continues, kan ba'onsin. You can't say that the pasuk comes to exclude a sister through rape because of the contradiction in psukim that Rava resolved. That Rava said over here we're talking about by onsin, meaning ervas bas bincha. When the pasuk says there's a problem of the erva of bas bincha, the daughter of your son or the daughter of your daughter, me'anusa. So in that case we're talking about your son or your daughter from a situation of rape. So lo sagala, that's going to be a problem. Habas binah, but let's say the daughter of her son, me'ishacher, from another man, so gila delavish tachi, that's not a problem because that's not your wife. In other words, if you had a situation, if a person raped a woman, so then if he had a son, let's say, with that woman, so then the daughter of that son would be a problem. But if he raped that woman and that woman had a different child, that's not going to be a problem. Umiu, nevertheless, the point of bringing all this is as follows, nevertheless, beno min ha'onsin benohu. The point is that if a person has a son through onus, that's considered his son. That's clear from the pasuk. V'chein bito, and the same by his daughter. Hilkach gabe achva nami achvu. Therefore, also when you're talking about brothers and sisters, even if it's through onsin, it's still going to be considered a brother and a sister. And just returning to this answer of the Gemara, so again, Rava was saying the pasuk which says ervas bas bincho bas bitcho lo segale, but bas binodida is okay. That's talking about in a situation not where it's a person's wife's, let's say it's a person's wife's daughter of her son, or a person's wife's daughter of her daughter. No, it's not a wife. It's a situation of a woman that the person raped. So in that situation, bas binodida or bas bita dida is going to be okay. But the pasuk that says ervas isha ubita lo segale as bas bina as bas bita, this other pasuk which seems to say that bas bina and bas bita even from another man is going to be a problem, meaning his wife and her daughter, or even his wife and the daughter of her son or the daughter of her daughter, all of those cases are going to be problematic even if it's not his own. So that's a situation of ishas. That's talking about ervas isha, that's where it is your wife, that's benisuin. So there, even in a situation of bas bina dida or bas bita dida, it's going to be a problem. We'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chav Gimel Amud Aleph.